Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Yeah.
You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Orange and blue till Mets do us part. Spring training, oh yes, it's the start. City Field gritty till Mets do us part. Hit home runs and knock it out the park. Big Apple till Mets do us part. You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Listen to the show till Mets do us part. John from Brooklyn, Ibby reps NJ. With the other team, I don't care what your friends say. Mets fans, we focus like a sensei. Listen to the podcast Monday, Wednesday. Made a couple bad plays, but we still won. Character, yup, we're gonna build some. Are you gonna check the pod? It's real fun. Just like Mookie, I will, son. So invest with your heart. Orange and blue till Mets do us part. Spring training, oh yes, it's the start. City Field gritty till Mets do us part. Hit home runs and knock it out the park. Big Apple till Mets do us part. You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Listen to the show.
Available now on all streaming platforms. If you love the New York Mets, check out Till Mets Do Us Part. Enough rapping. Let's get to yapping.
What is up, everyone? Matt Ibanez here, aka Ibby. Till Mets Do Us Part. Checking in with you live on a Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. And as you can see, I'm flying solo today. As we mentioned last week, that was going to be the case with John being busy when it comes to Monster Jam and all of his prior commitments. So I am flying solo today. And as always, like we always say, there's a lot going on in Metsland, and we're going to get into every single thing that has to be spoken of. As my main man, Keith, over at Shea & Sons, has said so many times, discussions will be had, and discussions are needed because a lot needs to be, talked about when it comes to this team. And I'm ready to jump into all of it with each and every one of you. And as always, when I'm doing a solo show, it's a little bit difficult to get into the comments as often as I'd like to, but I'm going to do my best to navigate the best that I can and get my hellos in and follow all the questions that may come in real time as quickly as I can. But like I said, there's a lot to get into and some things I have to get off of my chest. And we got 45 people in here so far. Love you. Appreciate each and every one of you. I'm sure this room's going to fill up as we continue. But for those of you that are here, I want to make sure I put it out there. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you're on the YouTube side, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video, spread the word of Till Mets Do Us Part. We're trying our best to get as many people following the show as we can. And, the more the merrier. I think we're stuck at 732 right now. But like I said last week, I am in the midst of getting some giveaways ready that I think a lot of people are going to find very cool. So I'm pumped up for that. And it's going to add to the crowd, and hopefully we get some new people in the comments as well. So all in all, good stuff. Shout out to Brella Sports, as always, Brella Sports Media, John Minconi, the entire crew, helping us do what we do every single week on the audio side as well as the visual side. So shout out to them. We'll get into independent safes like we always do. We'll get into MANSCAPED as well later on to the show. But there's a lot of things we have to get into when it comes to this team. But first, we got to make sure we get into the chat. See who's here, see who's hanging out with me today. 56 of you are here so far. Like I said, it's going to keep on filling up. My main man, the media goon himself, Keith Blackton from the QBC. This should be a doozy. And Keith, I got a lot of stuff I got to get off my chest. I'm not even sure how I'm going to articulate half of it. I think it was somebody on Twitter yesterday. I think it was Met Senor over on Twitter. Good follow. He had mentioned, therapy session. And as you can see, Jeff Cohen as well saying therapy session. I had mentioned, I thought about going into the show without a script. Now, my OCD takes over and I make a bunch of notes about what I want to go over and stuff. But I seriously thought about just going into the show, hitting record and just seeing where it took me. And you know what? Maybe I still will when it comes to this. And I might throw the paper and rip it up and go a different direction. But, we'll see what happens. But there's a lot of things that I'm just overly curious about as a fan that I think a lot of us are. And like I said, to credit to Keith over at Shea & Sons, discussions must be had. Difficult conversations must be had. And hopefully Keith can show up into the comments today. We'll see if he does or not. But all in all, a lot of stuff to get into. Let's see who else is here. Join us, Stevie Mack. I hurt myself today. See if I still Yes, Johnny Cash and Mets fans do share a lot in terms of, hurting themselves today just to see if they could in fact feel. Mr. Nobody is here. Hello, everyone. Keith telling me to tear that script up. Look, we'll see what happens. We'll see where it ends up taking me. But, to start things off at the top, this team has lost 4 of its last 5. And if it wasn't for Brandon Nimmo and his late inning heroics of coming into the game on Mother's Day late to win the game for this team, they would have been losers of 5 straight. And it's hard to say that wouldn't be shocking, even to say that they're losers of 4 or 5. They're facing 2 of the best teams in baseball, who happen to be in our division. The Phils are the hottest team in baseball. The Braves, even though they've been up and down, are still one of the best teams in the game. And this team just isn't playing good baseball, like far from. And, I'm not shocked that they lost 4 or 5. Obviously some opportunities were had here and there, but until this team learns how to hit, which is crazy when you think about it. We talked about it last week and how others continue to talk about it, how this team has continued to fail and be inconsistent on the hitting side, while the pitching is surprising people and doing more than enough to keep this team in a game. I think I might have said it last week. Christian Scott, goes out there and gives up 3 runs, and it's unfortunate that 3 runs is a death sentence for a starting pitcher right now when it comes to this team. Hell, 1 run at times is a death sentence for our starting pitchers. It's frustrating. It really is. Jose Quintana hasn't been doing much to help this team either. Like, it's on the pitching side, like, there's a lot that has to be spoken about, and we're going to get into all of it today. But losers of 4 or 5, we have it where the team is 19-22, so 3 games under 500. I think you could easily argue that this team should really be 3 games over 500, and hell, it might even be better than that when you look back at some of the games throughout the season to this point. That's a 6-game swing easily, if not more. But you are what you are. You're a sub 500 team, and you are, if I may borrow from my main man Ant Rivera over at Subway de Shea, this team is consistently inconsistent, especially from the offensive side. And it's frustrating because some bats are really starting to come alive for this team. Pete Alonso has an OPS over 1,000 over the last week or so. He's been really heating up, and I think that coincides with JD Martinez, who's been hitting the hell out of the ball and has been doing better. So providing that protection for Pete that we've been talking about that he needs, and the offense is starting to come from both of them. But the sad part is nothing else is hitting, and that's a problem. And it upsets me because my original thumbnail for this week had Brandon Nimmo on the cover, and it was going to be talking about the home run and Mother's Day and things. And of course, shout out to all the mothers out there. Happy belated Mother's Day. Didn't get to do that last week, so happy Mother's Day to all of your mothers. But I wanted to talk about that, but it's sad that gets lost, and it's basically like a drop in the hat, really, when it comes to this team, because they've lost 4 of the last 5, and that home run kind of gets lost in the shuffle because in general, this team offensively is really in the dumps, like really in the dumps overall. When you look at it, in the month of May, this team has a slash line of 217, 286, 333. That's terrible. You look at it, they only have 9 home runs to 2 stolen bags. Not creating enough traffic on base, hardly hitting any home runs in the month so far. When it comes to their weighted on-base average, the average amount of time they're getting on base, weighted, okay? They're at 279. That's second worst in baseball to the Chicago White Sox. And the White Sox are an absolute joke of a team. So that shows you where this Mets team is offensively in comparison to others in the league. It's pitiful. And I know we talked about last week how this team was a little bit more exciting to watch as opposed to last year. But as the week goes by, it's reverting back to like what I've been watching the previous year and almost year and a half. really September of 2022. But it's becoming a very boring brand of baseball because there's only so much you can do when only one guy is hitting. Brandon Nimmo was tearing the cover off the ball. I love Brandon Nimmo. I'm so happy that he's met for, hopefully for life. But there's only so much he can do. There's only so much Pete can do. There's only so much that JD can do. The bottom half of the lineup is non-existent. It's frustrating to watch a team and again, I say those numbers to you. There's a problem. A big time problem. And there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about throughout this episode that I want to bring to the attention of many. Eric Chavez, certain bats that are in this lineup, the overall makeup, quote unquote, the core, which is always a talking point for many. We're going to get into it. We will. I'm just, again, figuring out how I'm going to articulate a lot of this stuff. But I want to jump back into the comments, see what's going on, because I'm missing some things. Let's take a look here. Douglas Barnes, welcome, my friend. Mendoza aside, something is wrong with the coaching staff. Whole team prolonged slumps are insane. Yeah, I would agree with that. Keith coming in also saying Christian Scott has a DeGrom curse. Pitch solid games with no offense. Beyond frustrating. Rosie K, this Mets offense doesn't work. It hasn't worked since the last part of 2022. Wholesale changes are needed. And Rosie, I'm going to hold off on that for a little bit. I think that can be really a majority of the second half conversation. I want to get through some of the stuff that's gone on the past week or so, but I think that can be really the entire second half. Mr. Nobody coming in saying I was at the game yesterday. Even the Mets ball boy wasn't doing anything. Look, T's and P's, my friend. T's and P's. I know Armand. I'm not sure if Armand's in the chat. Armand, who frequents us, let me know yesterday that he was at the game, and he said it was a pitiful watch. It was rough sledding, to say the least. So obviously, just bad all around, and you wonder why no one's at the stadium. People want to see offense, man. If you're not going to give them offense, people aren't going to show up. Take a look what else we got. Robert Wilkins coming in saying, I've been screaming about the lack of bats for a long time. What makes me feel better is that the majority of the fans are seeing the same thing. Preach, Ibby. It's hard, man. It's hard to keep on backing it. And again, I'm going to get into more of it in a moment. Keith coming in saying, Alonso can get warm to grow his trade value. We'll hit on that for a little bit. We will. Jeff Cohen, hearing on all the broadcasts that the bullpen is one of the best. Too many base on balls. Well, the pen's doing its job for the most part. They can only do so much when you're not getting innings from the starters. And then you couple that with what I've been saying for the longest time. If you don't jump the scoreboard and give your starters an opportunity to attack the strike zone properly with the talent that this staff has, in certain areas, you're not going to get ahead, and you're going to kill that bullpen. Again, we're still in May. It's been used a lot. We're entering that territory where we were last year, where these guys get burnt out quick. Let's see what else do we have. Jeff Cohen, how could we say Budo pitched well yesterday? The Phil scored off him with a hit by pitch and base on balls. Look, the thing that kills Budo, and we'll hit on him because he did get sent down. The thing that kills Budo is obviously the walks. When he's in control, he is one of our better pitchers. I like what I've seen from him to this point, but he's got to get the walks under control. But I don't think Budo's going to be down for that long. I know he's going to have to stay down for X amount of days because of the send down, but I don't think we're going to be seeing Budo out for a very long time. So I think that this is temporary because he has options. Keith coming in saying the Mets are doing bad in May. I can't wait to see what their annual June swoon. Look, if May's going to be bad and you couple that with the dreaded June swoon, man, trade deadline is going to be very, very interesting for this team. It really will be. City Connects jerseys 0-4. Black jerseys 0-2. So 0-6. Let's blame the jerseys. It's It's all about the jerseys, not the talent. No, but it is disheartening to see them, roll out the new digs and completely shit the bed while wearing them. Armand is here. Good to see you, Armand. I'm sorry that you were at that game yesterday, brother. I really am. I'm sorry you had to watch that. Yamid coming in. The core of this team has always struggled since 2001. We got the clown Baez, and he was the only one hitting. Same as Alonso, Lindor, Nimmo, McNeil. Yeah, I get it. Look, they're looking for a jolt somewhere, and I had mentioned this to some other of the Mets content creators, and I said it to Ant Rivera at Subway to Shea. I said to Keith over at Shea and Sons. It's frustrating and sad at the same time that this team is looking for success in places that stronger teams wouldn't be depending on. Now, that's not me saying that I'm bad-mouthing or ripping on Mark Vientos, but it kind of shows you where this team is overall, where you're hoping that Mark Vientos comes in and provides you this spark that's going to jumpstart your lineup. Look, I have no problem with Mark Vientos, but the fact that some people are looking at it that way, I think that speaks volumes. When we're clamoring to get rid of Joey Wendell, who is gone, by the way. Bye-bye, Joey Wendell. Rest in peace, or for some, rest in piss, whatever it may be. We're clamoring for someone like Jose Iglesias to come up. It's just like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, that's rough. That's brutal. That's not ideal. But again, getting some of this stuff off my chest is needed. The much needed therapy session for all of us, like Till Mets Do His Part is. Carson coming in. Good to see you, brother. Just keep this top of the lineup for a week. Let the stars get in the rhythm before you start spinning the wheel of the future for the lineup construction. And look, today's lineup is an interesting one that I'm excited to see. Off the top of my head, I believe it's Nimmo, Alonso, Lindor, Martinez, Vientos, Marte. That's the top 6. 7's Bader. I'm blanking. 8 McNeil, 9 Nito. Look, those last 3, it's a quick inning. As was shown yesterday, where they had a 3-pitch inning for Aaron Nola, who went on to pitch a complete game shutout 4-hitter. But yes, I'm with you, Carson. Keep the top of that lineup as it is. Let those guys get into a rhythm. Try to establish something to, again, try and jump the scoreboard to help these starting pitchers because it's needed. Hopefully give that bullpen a rest. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing more of the same. Staying in the comments. Armand coming in and saying, I'll give Stern credit to DFA Wendell instead of staying the course and keeping Wendell on the roster like Epler did with Vogelback. Yes. Carson tweeted about that yesterday over at Mets Weekly. And I said that was a big thing for me when it comes to Stearns, when everyone was asking for grades or what do you think about, so like I said, I wasn't going to grade him. I said, I'm going to start grading him when he starts making decisions that are ones that aren't late in nature because he's too stubborn to admit that he was wrong. 40 games in. Bad investment. Bye-bye, DFA. Right call. Right call. Multiple defensive, flubs for Wendell. Not getting the bunt down the other night. Garbage. Not needed. Not needed. Good to cut bait. Andrew F., my favorite. Came in late just in time, so he didn't have to hear the intro song. Hey, Andrew was my guy. I'm glad that he did see my comment the other day from what I said on the show. Too funny. We like having fun here. That's good stuff. G-Money Stacks in the building. What is good, Ibby? How's your weekend, including the day, mentally, physically, and spiritually? I was livid when that umpire by the first pitch. Look, we're going to talk about Diaz in the second half of the show. I got some thoughts and things I want to talk about. And hopefully Carson's still here so he can back me up on some things as well. But, you know, that inning, yes, that was a swing. Yes, that team, meaning the Mets, had multiple opportunities throughout the game to do better and cash in on opportunities, and they didn't. So one could argue it shouldn't come down to something like that. It's true, but I could also say it shouldn't, a bad call like that alters things, alters at bats. If that's a strike, that's a 3-2 count. We don't know what happens in the next pitch. We don't. Yes, 0-2, he hits the guy in the next at bat, changes things, attack the strike zone. One got away, happens. I still want to know what would have happened on 3-2 to Merrifield. Changes everything. It does. Carson, that's a big part of the consistency problem. When the combination of hitting tools set the whole offense up to fail. Not ready to throw the stars under the bus until you get a sample of that work. It's true. Yeah, I'm with you. 100%. 100%. Robert, I think we're hoping best case is sometime in June. Best case, I think we're looking at June. Second week of June, maybe. Best case. CP NY Sports, CP Mets and Knicks, Rangers too. Check out CP's channel. Guy's on fire lately. Go Knicks. Beating the Pacers 3-2. 1 win away from the Eastern Conference Finals. New York is red hot right now, at least on the basketball side, not on the Queen side. Shout out to the Knicks and good luck to them, as well as the Rangers, who are looking to close things out. Patty at NYC, my favorite PB, late to the chat. Was listening. Hey, Mets fans. Hi, Ibby. Good to see you, Patty. As always, a pleasure. Love talking with you. I love hearing this. Andrew also bought a MANSCAPED today using your code. Thanks again. How nice is it the team willing to cut bait with players not producing unlike past regimes when we hold them for almost the whole year? Well, thank you for buying MANSCAPED. Got a fun read later on for you guys when it comes to that. But thank you for using our code TMDUP at checkout, getting you 20% off. Anyone else who needs it, please use promo code TMDUP to get 20% off and free shipping on anything site-wide. Tell them Tilmets sent you. Appreciate it. But if there is something else that I wanted to bring up from the offensive standpoint, Mark Vientos is up with the team now. And I think he's up here for an extended period of time because the things that we've been getting from Brett Beatty, not going to cut it. Doing a great job defensively, different player defensively, which is why I think his F4 is still in the positive because of his defense. But when we look at things as to why Mark Vientos is here, we bring up Ice Beatty. The Mets OPS at third base is just 618, better than only 5 other teams. After going 0 for 3 with a strikeout Tuesday, Beatty is slashing 230, 292, 317. He's 1 for his last 22. Mendoza wanted to get him a break because his OPS against lefties is 476. It's not good. He's not hitting the ball. You bring up Vientos. He's batting 5th tonight. He's playing third base. I think I read on Will Simon's article that his defense at third has gotten a little bit better. And this is what's clearly happening and what I said was going to happen if things went south for this team in terms of preventing runs and not getting enough offense, that they were going to bite the bullet when it came to defense and play guys for their bat. Saying, screw defense. We're going to make this work any way we can to get runs on the board. Because it's the name of the game. Got to score runs. So you put Mark Vientos out there at the expense of Beatty, who's better defensively, in hopes that he can put some balls over the fence and provide better offense than what Beatty's provided, which has been next to nothing. I think his last 7 games, he's batting like .045. That's terrible. Oh my God. It's rough, man. It really is. So that's why I think Mark Vientos is here for an extended look, for an extended period. And no, this is his chance. This is his chance to really step up and provide something. Don't be a complete butcher at third. Do the best you can. But you got to hit. This is it, man. Like, if you can show that you got a stick and you can hit on a consistent basis, and you can hit guys that are throwing hard, which has been Vientos' his bugaboo to this point. If he gets that consistent playing time, let's say for the next week or so, whether he's spot DH and playing third base, whatever it is, as long as he's in the lineup, getting looks, we'll see if he can provide something. It's definitely something to monitor, for sure. Jump back into the comments. See what we got going on here. Mr. Nobody with a good one. Epler was best at spending money. He should be a personal shopper. That's a good one. I like that one. Rosie K saying Mark Vientos is not the answer. I don't think he's the answer, Rosie. I just think that, like I said before, I feel that this team is looking for, put it this way, this team is looking for love in all the wrong places. And they have to turn over every stone in hopes of finding something that can help them. Otherwise, they're going to keep on trotting out the same thing. You're going to keep on getting the same tired answers and the same tired look from this team. And, it's beyond frustrating, but they're going to try it, and we'll see what happens. Mr. Nobody liking the Ice Betty saying how he can hear the riff from the graphic. Good stuff. Carson coming in saying, I'm just glad the bat speed metric dropped so you can get a better understanding as to why Beatty always ends up on my shit list in a vacuum. Carson, I believe he was third, right, on the team in terms of bat speed behind Alonso, and I'm not sure who was second in terms of bat speed. I know Jeff McNeil was at the bottom. Omar Narvaez, I know that. But yeah, Beatty's got one of the quickest bats. A raw power tool that's through the roof, but it's not working. It's not equating. Eric Chavez, we need to talk. We need to have a talk. But just catching up over here. Oh, we got someone. Gonzalo Cousin. I think it's a first-time commenter. Welcome, Gonzalo. Alonso should be hitting first because all he does is hit double plays. Look, if you want to bat Pete first and get Pete the most at bats, I'm not going to fight you. I like Nimmo leading off, but I do like, and I know Carson's a big proponent of it as well, I like Alonso batting too. I really do. I want to see it more often. Give me the opportunity to have Nimmo getting on base, slapping a double, and then Pete gets up, hits a 2-run homer, and we're at the end of the first, we're up 2-0. Like, that would be nice. That would be nice for a change. Give me that. Give me more Alonso at bats. Get Alonso bat in second. I want more of it. Yuki Matsui coming in, saying hi to Patty. But Yuki, I did want to bring something up. If you guys weren't watching the Subway to Shea preview with Aunt Rivera around 3:30 today, Yuki was in there and did bring up something interesting that's going to be brought up again when it comes to the core of this team in terms of something that Zach Short had said. Obviously, remember, Zach Short was here for an abbreviated stint with this team at the first handful of weeks of the season. But he said something interesting now that he's a Brave. And I'm going to bring that up when it comes to the conversation on the core of this team in the second half, which we'll be getting into relatively shortly. Nice to meet you too. Nice to meet you as well. And thank you for joining. And thank you for subbing. I really appreciate it. But yeah, you guys in the comments can help me here. And again, I'm flying by, seeing my pants right now, like when it comes to some of this stuff, and I have other stuff written here that we'll get into in the second half. And I don't want to be on for too long today. Not only because I'm solo, but because the Mets are starting at 6:40 today. And, we must be crazy to be so anxious to watch this team again, especially after yesterday. But it's the nature of the job. It's what we do. And I'll make sure that I get you guys there before first pitch, unless you want me to keep going and you want to avoid it for a little bit. I'll go a little bit longer, but I'll try to get us out of here on time for first pitch. I don't know what it is, man. And this brings it back to what I was saying about, Keith, Shane's son, saying that discussions must be had, conversations must be had when it comes to this team. And it's, what is the issue? How do you pinpoint what the actual issue is? I have some ideas, and we'll get into it on the other side after we plug some things and we hit on sponsors and stuff. I'm going to check the comments one last time before we go into the break. But Game for War is back. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Mets need to stop scapegoating Beatty and McNeil, who are batting 30 points better than Lindor, and bench him 2 to 3 days for some tough love. No more pity parties for him. I guess that's going after Lindor in that sense. But, Game, I get what you're saying. But you're going to have the struggle of going against people that say, batting averages and everything, and he provides other things. And, he was on a heater for like a 7-game stretch, 8-game stretch, and it's been a lot better in terms of offense from Lindor specifically. I think people attack those two because they want something, whereas I think we know what we can get out of Lindor. Yes, you want it on a more consistent basis, but you still know what he's going to give you. And it's 10 times better than what you're going to get from the likes of McNeil and Beatty. Like Beatty's frustrating because just pounds the ball into the ground. And I want so much more for that kid, and it's just not there. And the changing of the swing path clearly isn't happening, which is frustrating enough. And McNeil, I'm done with. Like, me personally, I know Carson is. I don't know about others. We'll talk about him in the second half when we go on the farm and talk about Luis Angel Acuna for a little bit. But I can't anymore with Jeff. I can't do it. Every at bat's the same. I'm going to save some stuff, but I talked about it last week. I'm over it, man. I'm over it. And it's hard to watch. And I said it last week. I said, I can't watch him bat 5th. I can't watch him bat 6th. And I'm having a hard time watching him bat 8th, bat 9th, whatever it may be. And I have a hard time seeing him transitioning to being a bench player based off of how he is. But we'll see. Things have to click in order for him to even get to that point. Jumping in the comments. See what we got going on here. We got Rob Wilkins. Is it realistic to think that McNeil will come around to anything close he was in 2022? Rob, I mentioned it last week. I said that the outlier season for Jeff McNeil over the last 4 seasons, which is much more than a sample size, the outlier season was his best season. 21, 23, 24 are all similar. 22 is the one that sticks out. Same thing with previous seasons as well before that, with the outlier season being 2019, juice ball. Just not there, man. It's not. Armand saying he's done with McNeil as well. Andrew coming in saying, I'm over McNeil. He had one good season and one great one, and that's it. Like I just said, it's not it. Gonzalo coming in saying, add 5 home runs and McNeil has Lindor numbers and more hits. Is McNeil going to hit 5 home runs? He can't. Like, he can barely hit the ball out of the infield. The whole slapping around thing doesn't really apply, especially for this lineup with what, how it's built and constructed. This lineup needs more power. If it had more power, you could live with Jeff McNeil batting at the bottom and slapping the ball around to get to the better hitters back at the top that can drive him in. But that's not the case. At least not right now. Not based on those numbers I said to you before. Not even close. Jeff coming in saying, allow Bay to play defense and Vientos to play offense. Hey, if this was like, oh, you can have a designated fielder, great. We'll put Beatty at there and let Vientos be the one who's doing the hit. If only. Yuki coming in saying, I know the issue. We got the richest owner, but spending like a small market team. We need Soto, Corbin Burns, and Roki Sasaki. I'll get into that in the second half, too, when it comes to the core. And, like I said before, I always like having a theme when it comes to my thumbnails. And this week's you saw Pete on there and Edwin on there and an overshadowing look of David Stearns. And you saw some things taped on, look kind of like, a sill, if you will, where someone paints and there's the paint marks behind David Stearns as if this is his canvas and he's trying to paint something. And sometimes it takes time. And, right now I would describe this team like a Jackson Pollock, if anyone knows what that is, where it's kind of just splatter art. And, our owner knows a good amount about art. And, sometimes it takes time to get that masterpiece. And clearly this team is a far's way away from it. But to give you guys a little backstory on that thumbnail as to why I did it. Chris Ram, my favorite therapist. We are in session, my friend. We are in session. CP coming in. Seeing Pete hit a multitude of extra base hits lately at the minimum is encouraging. I agree. We want Pete to be hot. If only there's someone on base for him to drive in. That would be nice. But we're seeing what it's like when he has actual protection behind him. I don't think it's a coincidence that Pete's hot the same time JD's hot. I don't think it's a coincidence at all. But we'll hop into some more of these comments after the break. Like I said, I want to try to get out of here by first pitch. Still got a couple things I want to hit on. If you haven't, we've got 140 people in here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video. Okay, if I got 140 people in here, I know a majority probably on the Twitter side. Make sure you follow me right over here. Oh, let me take down CP real quick. Make sure you're following me over here. Make sure you follow my partner, John Saponaro. Make sure you follow on the show handle right over there, tilmetsdouspart on Twitter. Make sure you head on over to the YouTube side. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Leave a comment. Those of you that are in here right now on the YouTube side, and if you're not on the YouTube side, head on over to the YouTube side. Do me a favor. Not in the live chat right now. On the video itself, in the comment section for the video, drop an LGM. Drop an LGM in the comment section, not in the live stream. Drop it in the comment section. See if you can do create a little bit more engagement on the actual video side to then get this video out to more people. So drop an LGM in the comment section, not the live stream, the comment section of the video before you head out of here today. So I appreciate it. So having said that, we're going to come out of the break after 30 seconds, and we are going to get into some Edwin Diaz, the core of the team, and of course, our favorite sponsorships when it comes to independent safes and MANSCAPED. I'll see you in 30 seconds. What is up, everyone? Let me just mark down some numbers so I can stay proper when it comes to the audio side. What's up, everyone? Matt Ibanez here, aka Ibby, tilmetsdouspart, checking in. If it's your first time here, do me a favor, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, follow the show on Twitter, follow my partner, John Saponaro, on Twitter, who's not here today. And I see Patty coming into the comments saying, is John on the IL? And Chris Torres following up saying, my guy Ibby, John got DFA'd too. Damn. No, John did not get DFA'd. He's still on the 40, man. He's still here. Not on the IL, Patty. He did have some prior engagements when it came to Monster Jam. There was a lot going on for him today for a big show in Cali. So he is busy with that, and it wasn't going to work with the schedule. So we knew early last week that I was going to end up going solo today. So that's why he got me talking about our beloved New York Mets on a bit of a cold streak. But before we continue with the Mets talk, we have to make sure we get in some of our sponsors. And some of our sponsors include our friends over at Independent Safes. And at independentsafes.com, Independent Safes are protecting homes and businesses with secure residential and commercial safes, fireproof peace of mind in every corner. Visit independentsafes.com today for security that stands strong. And clearly, when it comes to those independent safes, we need a lot of help with this team. We want to lock ourselves away in those independent safes. We want to get one of those extremely expensive panic rooms. Maybe we can start a GoFundMe all together as Met fans, put some cash in, donate for a panic room that we can all hide in, as opposed to watching this team bat being on the offensive side. I was thinking about the other day when Christian Scott was pitching. I was at a party and I put the Met game on the TV, and I said, man, like anytime the Mets came up to bat, I left the room. And I talk to people, said something, what have you. And when I saw that Scott was on the mound, I went back over to watch them, pitch and play defense. Like that's saying something when you don't even want to watch the offense of your team. And it's frustrating to say the least, but that's where we are. But as always, we also have to get to our friends over at MANSCAPED. And we'll put this up right here. 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code TMDUP at checkout. Hey there, beach babes. Are you ready to soak up those summer vibes and unveil your ultimate beach vibe? Well, you're in luck because our friends over at MANSCAPED have you covered from head to toe. With the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, the ultimate all-in-one grooming kit is to have you looking and feeling your best in the summer sun. Trust MANSCAPED and unlock the confidence you need to turn heads this season. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the promo code TMDUP. That's TMDUP at checkout. Let's make this summer your smoothest one yet. And as always, it's 20% off free shipping. Don't forget it. We got Andrew in the comments saying how we utilized it. Get the 20% off. No one likes paying full price. We all love coupon codes, discount codes. Head on over to Manscaped, 20% off. They got everything. I got it all right here. Look, we got it all right here, guys. Everything that you need. You got the lawnmower. You got the weed whacker. You got the crop preserver. You got everything that you need. It's all here. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic product. Manscaped.com, promo code TMDUP. Shout out to the 155 that are here. Make sure you're subbing the channel, liking the video. We're at 732. I think we're still there. I would love to get that number a little bit higher. It's been frustrating being stagnant at that number. We gained a couple today. We gained 2. All right. Good stuff. If we can get to 740 before this stream is up, that'd be awesome. Can we get 6 more subs? Can I get 6 more subs on this channel? That'd be cool. 740. I got a thing for numbers that end in 0, 5. Like I like that. It looks better. So get me to 740. 6 more subs. Can we do it before this stream is up? 6 more subs. 740. If you haven't done it, do so. When it comes to this team, when it comes to the core, Edwin Diaz, all things of that nature, we're gonna cover that to finish out the show here. Diaz, I'm going to be short on. The core is what is going to dominate the conversation. But first, we have to jump into the comments. Mr. Nobody, time for some safe trimming, as always with Manscaped. Jung Ho Lee joining us in the comments. Welcome, Jung Ho. LGM. Does John get to thank you? Oh, man. Stevie Mac, McNeil will be put in an independent safe until he learns how to hit again. We should lock away McNeil in there. I'm tired of it. Let's see. Anything else? It's pretty much Patty loving the newspaper. Thank you. I wanted to pop you, Patty. I wanted to pop you, and I got it. So it worked. This is an interesting one from Gonzalo. What do you think about the Mets not having a backup shortstop or second baseman? We were talking about that today. Some of us and the fellow Met content creators were having a chat about it. And it's clear. Again, they're sacrificing things. They're taking chances to find some offense. And that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to bite the bullet and just say, look, we're going to try something. And what works, what happens, it is what it is. And that's the wild thing about it, because what if something happens to Jeff McNeil in game? Who's playing second base? It's a legit question right now. If something happens in today's game to Jeff McNeil, and I don't wish for injuries on anybody, so knock on wood, I do not wish for injuries on anyone, even though I don't like Jeff in terms of what he's been putting out on the field, and I think it's over. I think it's time to move on. That doesn't. I don't want anyone to get hurt. That's garbage to do that. But what if something does happen? Who's playing second base? Look at the roster. Who's playing second base? Is Brett Beatty going to play second base? Is Tyrone Taylor going to get an infield glove and go to second base? It's an interesting question. I don't think you put Mark Vientos over there. You know? Tomas Nido? Omar Narvaez? Sorry, Marte. It's interesting. Same thing with shortstop. God forbid something happens to Lindor. Who's playing short? Mark Vientos came up as a shortstop, but everyone that gets drafted is a shortstop at one point. Not a shortstop anymore. They're sacrificing defense for offense, and I think they're just praying. They're praying that everything goes proper, because I think I saw a stat saying how between Nimmo, McNeil, Alonso, and Lindor, I think they missed a total of 6 games between them. So they're banking on health in a lot of these spots. We'll see what happens. Let's see what we got here. Brad coming in. Can we get Andres Jimenez back for McNeil? I think that ship has long sailed, my friend. We're lucky if we can get a bag of balls for McNeil. Put DJ Stewart and pray. Why not? At this point, screw defense. Put DJ at second. Oh, man. But when it comes to Edwin Diaz needs to be brought up because, it seems as though many people are questioning Edwin, worried about Edwin and what he's been doing. Doesn't look like he's the same pitcher from last time that we saw him, which that was going to be a big ask. And unfortunately, I can see that Carson is no longer in the comments, because I know he'd be able to back me on this. But, from what I've seen, he does look like he's, getting his feet back under him still. I still think the slider's there. I'm not worried about the fastball. I think that injuries like this, and shout out to John Manconi, who also brought this up, when you have things happen to your lower half as a pitcher, you can get cleared to pitch, but sometimes it's really a 2-year process to get back to where you were. You can be cleared to throw, and you can still throw hard. but maybe you're not going to be able to get to that same level that you were pre-injury. It takes sometimes 2 years to get to that point. And it's not like the guy's throwing slow. And Carson's saying he's gonna be fine. What's next? Like, and Carson, I'm with you, but I also know that other people, and I've seen plenty of tweets, and they're annoying, and people that I shouldn't be even looking at. But I know people are just, curious on him. But I know that you have the information that's backed up, and the slider's still there. The fastball still pumping 97, 98. You remove that one game where he was a little timid to throw at that Tampa game. But he came out the next game and it was there. Look, 2022 was top shelf. I still think that Edwin Diaz is top shelf. I do. Are you going to have some hiccups here and there? Yeah. Sometimes is he going to hang a slider and it might get yanked out? Yeah, it's going to happen. But I'm not worried about it. And I don't think anybody else should either. I think we should be more worried about this pen just being overworked in general. But if anything, the lack of opportunity can be chalked up to what's hurting Edwin as well, because he's barely getting any save opportunities because his team isn't scoring enough runs to be, to have a lead for him to come in to hold. Whole different story. Checking the comments. Seeing if anything's sticking out at the moment. 163 of you in here. Again, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Would appreciate trying to get 6 more subs before we get out of here. We're at 734. 6 more subs, and I know that people are watching on the YouTube side. I can see 32 of you are watching, though 32 of you are not subbed. So please sub the channel. That'd be really cool. Carson coming in with his ever so great humor. He's washed. His velo's down. Fuck the WBC. Waste of $100 million. Take him out of the closer role. This conversation is boring. I'm so bored of people. Jesus fucking Christ. And that's basically that comment right there from Carson is Twitter in a nutshell. Really is. But the core of this team, and Gonzalo bringing us something that'll parlay into the conversation. Alonso to the Cubs if we don't make the playoffs. Look, the core of this team, and I wanted to end on this because it's a thought process that I've been trying so hard to get an idea of how I wanted to articulate it. I said to you guys before the season started, this team was going to be a roller coaster. They were going to win 5 games, lose 6 games, win 10 games, lose 10 games, win 4, lose 5, win 3, lose 2. They were built like a 500 team. They're 3 games under 500 right now. They're 1 game back of the 3rd wild card spot. So it's far from like doomsday. But something has to be said about how this team has operated since September of 2022. And I don't know what the answer is. And that's what's bothering me so much, which is why I'm going to bring it back to Yuki's comment that he brought up in Ant's chat earlier today, where he said Zach Short is now an Atlanta Brave. Zach Short was with the Mets for an abbreviated stint earlier on. When asked, he didn't throw the Mets under the bus, mind you. He did not. It wasn't vindictive. It wasn't hateful. It was nothing like that. He just said that there was a stark difference, a bigger difference in terms of clubhouse culture between the Braves and the Mets. And one can look at that and say, oh my God, there's a huge problem. Tommy Pham, this and that. Like, one person can say that. Another could say, well, yeah, that's a team that, has an identity, has established a winning culture because they've done nothing but win for a lot of our entire existence. That's all the team has done. And they've assembled a juggernaut with Alex Anthopoulos, and they don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. And you look at their lineup, and their 1 through 7 are all potential superstars and all-stars. And, they're all locked up, so they're going to be in that spot for a long time. So, yes, there's a huge difference between the Mets and the Braves. 1,000%. But when I hear that, it also makes me think a little bit and go, well, what is the problem? How do you fix this? Do you fix this by simply firing hitting coaches? Do you fix this by firing pitching coaches? Now, I think Hefner is doing a fine job, even though some don't like him in terms of the output this year. It'd be hard to justify firing him. But you can look to the other side, and you can say Eric Chavez, you could say Jeremy Barnes, whatever it may be. Different outcomes between 22, 23, and now 24 when it comes to Chavez and Barnes, different outcomes, different thought processes for both. But the consistent thing, the constant between those 3 years, really the last 4 or 5 years, has been the players that are here. And people automatically go to Lindor and Nimmo and Alonso and McNeil. I never considered Jeff McNeil a core player. But he's always lumped into it because of the contract that he got or the length that he's been here. I don't never really viewed him as a core player. But if you want to talk about changing the core of this team, yeah, if you have Jeff McNeil in your core, in your opinion, then yeah, change the core and get rid of Jeff McNeil. But I still wonder, in general, the pinpointed issue here. Is it simply talent? Is it simply talent and the lack that has been brought in? I don't think Pete Alonso is the problem. People want to talk about changing the core and saying goodbye to Alonso, and you got to start changing things and making wholesale changes. I have no problem with wholesale change, but I don't think Pete is the problem. The problem is that team building around Pete for his stint here to this point has failed him. It took them until his walk year to get them a legit bat to bat behind him, to protect him, to give him more opportunity to provide offense for this team. That's a team building problem. That's not Pete's problem. Over the last 5 years, Pete has still produced. And if he would have had more help behind him, he might have been able to produce even more, which might have led to more success for this team as a whole. Team building, the franchise failed Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso did not fail them. Now, maybe Pete Alonso is this huge cancer in the clubhouse that nobody sees. I don't know because I'm not in there. Now, I want to look over at some of the comments because I know this is going to spark some conversation, which is what I wanted. Rosie K, the culture issue has repeatedly been raised. Maybe there's something to it. Ultimately, it's on the players. I don't think that this team works, and I don't think that it ever will. And I'm not saying you're wrong, Rosie. Not at all. That's me sitting here just, again, it's therapy. We're getting these things off our chest, and it's like, what is it? Is the team too top heavy? Are we too reliant on these types of players to dominate the first 5 spots of the lineup and then just throw away spots 6 through 9 and think, it's no big deal? Well, you're throwing away a lot of at-bats, you're throwing away innings. Not having a deeper team, not having a more talented team. Is it that? Yameen coming in saying, let's agree to disagree. Pete is part of the problem. And Yameen, I'm still scrolling, so if you said something else, I'll get to it. But I am curious as to why you think he is the problem, because I can say that you remove Pete, this team has zero power. In a power-driven league, if you remove Pete Alonso, this team has no power. And I know Carlos Ramos is a big person who's usually in this chat, and he's been busy lately, but he'll say, oh no, get rid of Pete and give me 3 guys to hit 20 home runs. Like, well, those aren't easy to find either. Why is it that we can't surround the guy who hits 40 home runs with talent? Why do I want to get rid of that? The contract discussion's a different story. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever. But why is it wrong to want that production in my lineup? Why can't I put better hitters around him? Why can't I better surround him? The issue that I think people have with Pete Alonso is because he's always been positioned as the top guy when he's just a power hitter. That's what Pete is. He's a power hitter. If you allowed him to just be a power hitter and stop expecting him to hit 270, which he isn't going to do, you'll take it if this lineup is better well-rounded and you allow Pete to be what he is, which is, say, a 230 hitter that hits 45 home runs and drives in 100 and has, stretches where he, it's extremely streaky, but it wouldn't kill you as a team as much if you were better well-rounded. But because he's the center of attention, when you make the center of attention of your team a strictly power hitter, you're going to go on the roller coaster ride that is power hitters. If you want more consistency, you got to find more talent. And that's not me saying that Pete's not talented. He is talented at what his job is to do, and that's provide power, which he does. So that's why I don't think he's part of the problem. I respect your opinion, Yamid. I do. I love that you come in here every week. Not putting you down at all. I'm just stating my piece on it. That's all. But if you're getting rid of Pete in this core teardown, because let's be honest, Lindor's not going anywhere and Nimmo's not going anywhere, and they shouldn't, because they're damn good ball players. But you look to the rest and you could say these are movable. And I just say, if you're moving Pete, I want to know what you're doing. And you can't sit there and tell me Juan Soto, because you don't know. You have no idea. I'll believe it when the Yanks actually pay him and he stays there. But I don't know if I don't know if David Stearns looks at this team and will then, at that point, then triple down on, as the team is constructed, to add on top of it a $600 million contract. I don't know if he would do that. Or he could better spend that money throughout the organization, throughout the 26-man, the 40-man, and what have you. It's going to be very interesting. But, figuring out what the core issue is here is the big question. Rosie K, I don't think that Pete is the problem. Danny J, Pete needs to stay a Met. He's not the problem. Danny J, if it's your first time here, welcome, brother. Appreciate you. Hope you sub the channel. Would appreciate that. Still trying to get to 740. Phone's not loading right now, but maybe we'll get there. But good to see you, Danny J. Welcome. Another one, Craig Bart. Hopefully you're sub to the channel too, Craig. Welcome. Beatty lost. Marte lost the plate. McNeil and Nito sure outs. Pete and Lindor not clutch. Bader, weak hitter. Look, it's not pretty right now, man. Far from. When I ran down those numbers, when you got a slash line for the month of May of 217, 286, 333, the team as a whole has 9 home runs. They're not creating havoc on the bases. They're not getting on base at a high enough clip, and they only have 2 stolen bags while everyone else is running on them. Singles turned into doubles turned into triples against this catching situation and these pitchers. It's a recipe for disaster and playing from behind constantly. You have to be better. Said it before. Playing within those margins is big. Winning within those small margins for this team is required for Stearns and his plan to work. And these players are not executing within those margins, which is why change can be had. A change could be seen. I guess really what it comes down to is, and it's a question that we'll never know until something happens in terms of a deeper dive for this team. But if you are in that clubhouse, I would love Zach Short to speak on it more. What is the main difference? Is it how people handle each other? Is it this individualized effort and people are more focused on themselves as opposed to the team and the laundry on the front, and they're more focused on themselves and the name on the back? Is that what it is? Is it pure laziness? Are the lazy players still there that Tommy Pham spoke on? I've said it time and time again. I can only equate it to people or the field that I work in. I'm a teacher, and I've had multiple principals in my place of work. When a new principal comes in, that first year, nothing changes because it's that year of understanding, getting a lay of the land, what works, what doesn't, what am I going to keep, what am I going to implement? And then you have your feet under you, you have an understanding, and then you say, okay, this is what's staying, and we are wiping clean all of this. And we're going to put in this, this, and this. This is what I know. This is what works. And I think we're in the midst of that. And that comes down to patience. Mets fans don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. It's patience. You have to wait. I have all the faith in the world in David Stearns. You should too as a fan. Difficult things will be done. But the roller coaster of this team, we'll find out exactly what happens come deadline, where they are on this roller coaster. The sharp turns and the deep drops of this team, we're always going to be there. Where will this roller coaster be next week? Where will this roller coaster be in 2 weeks? Where will this roller coaster be in 70 some odd days as the deadline is near? That's what's going to really paint the picture of where this team is going to be, not only the rest of this season, but moving forward. Checking the comments one last time. Armand saying, times have changed, it's all about the power. Contact does not work like it used to back in the day. You still want some contact, obviously. You want good hitters. But yeah, you got to be able to put the ball over the fence. This team doesn't do it enough. And it hasn't for a long time outside of Pete. It hasn't. Gonzalo asking, who would you rather have, Alonso or Soto? Gonzalo, I said this weeks ago when it was asked of me. And I took some flack for it. I said, Pete, I love you. I will take Juan Soto 10 times out of 10. I love Juan Soto. Juan Soto, in my opinion, is the best player in baseball. I've always felt that. I love watching him play the game. But I don't know if he's in this team's realm right now, depending on how Stearns wants to build things. I don't know. Of course, I would love to have him. Who the hell wouldn't? But, I don't know if that's even a possibility. I don't. But the answer is and always will be Juan Soto is better. Darren coming in, Mets don't create runs, don't have enough guys who steal yet against Mets fans. Yeah, it's true. Get run on ragged. You need, like I said, since 2021, same players. When we need big hits, they all fail. You're right. There is a failure there. And understanding what pieces need to be moved out. Finding better talent. Moving on from McNeil. Moving on from Marte. moving on from a Harrison Bader and then hopefully plugging in a Drew Gilbert, seeing what happens there. Little things like that. Oh, one last thing. Wanted to go on the farm real quick before we get out of here. Going on the farm when it comes to the Jeff McNeil discussion and getting an opportunity to see my little Met farm again. But Luis Angel Acuna, his last 3 weeks, doing a little bit better. 78 at-bats, 256 average, 1 home run, 17 runs, 6 RBIs, and 5 stolen bags. Look, it's far from pretty. It is far from being ready. It is. But I'm happy that his approach is getting a little bit better. It's inching along. I still don't think we're anywhere near a call-up, but at least something is being provided in hopes that, pushing Jeff McNeil along the way to do something. I think right now there's no sense of urgency because he knows there's nobody else. I'm not saying he's not trying hard, he's not working, but knowing that there's no one behind you, it kind of gives you a little bit of leeway. We talked about before, there's no backup shortstop or second baseman. You know who plays both those positions? Luis Angel Acuna. Could he end up on the bench at some point? Possible. Could happen. He's been playing a lot of center field too, but it's possible. So we can see eventually maybe something happens in that sense. But those numbers are nothing to brag about. They're nothing special. I think on the year he's only got two home runs, so he's not a power hitter. But for me, they won't do it. But I'd much rather watch, Acuna try to do well, slap the ball around, steal some bags, play a better defensive second base. That's for sure. Because Jeff's been declining at second. So, again, nothing to brag about, nothing crazy. But I wanted to bring it up because it needed to be talked about, needed to be mentioned. By far from a world beater, but interesting nonetheless. Going to keep on going out throughout the comments and finish it out strong as the game has started. And if anything does happen, you guys can throw it into the comments. 168 of you here rocking with me. Love each and every one of you. Appreciate you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on the channel. Like the video. Follow me. Whoop. At @poison_Ibby on Twitter. Follow my partner, John Saponaro, at John Saponaro. Follow Till Mets Do Us Part on Twitter. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. That's where we are trying our hardest to grow. Would love it if you guys are following us there. But looking at the comments to end it out, seeing there's a lot going on. Let's take a look. Where are we? McNeil's batted 236. It's brutal. I know. He will pop up or strike out minute score position, especially this year, or hit dribblers. It's hard to watch. Mets got rid of Kingman, same type of player. I guess, you know what it is, Craig? I guess for me, if you're getting rid of Pete, if that ends up happening, which I still don't think it will, but we'll see. Ever since DeGrom, you never really know anymore. But I still think Pete's going to get humbled by the open market along with Boris. I do think that will happen. And I also subscribe to the idea that, the Mets will be used as leverage to get Pete to sign a bigger deal elsewhere to then trigger the Mets to want to spend bigger and create a war between the Yanks and Mets for Soto, where eventually the Mets could end up getting shut out potentially. Potentially. But that wouldn't shock me. Looking around, Adrian Hauser should have been DFA'd. He hasn't won any games. Look, I'm not big on Hauser either. G Money, I'm really not. But the rotation evolves with Budo being sent down, just trying to keep guys fresh. He had options, and then eventually I think Hauser goes back into the bullpen. It's playing this game of roulette when it comes to keeping arms fresh. McGill's back on the weekend. I think McGill might be getting started on Saturday. Peterson's around the corner. He's going to be coming back soon. How they utilize Peterson, whether it's starting or in the pen, we'll see. Checking through. Stevie Mack, Watch Stearns has some crazy plan for next year that no one has expected. There's a reason they wanted to reset the luxury tax for the team by next free agency. Resetting the tax does a lot of things. The most important thing, it creates flexibility, which then creates opportunity. So I'm with you, Stevie. I am. My man, Ant Rivera. Love you, Ant. Good to see you, brother. Subway to Shea. Wonder if it's the individual accomplishments over teamwork and success in terms of when I was talking about the overall feel of this team. It's something's off, man. And the most frustrating thing is a lot of times when you know something is off, you can pinpoint it eventually. And I usually feel like I'm good about these things, but I can't pinpoint it. I want to say it's just lack of talent overall from an organization. That's kind of what I want to say. Lack of talent. And that takes years to fill a team with talent, legit talent. I want to say it's that, but I'm still not sure. Carson saying, I wonder who on this team focuses on the most at. Yeah. Does anyone know how Clifford did his debut at Double-A? I am blanking, Yamid. I'm blanking. I know there was an article written about him going to Double-A and going to a better hitting environment because lefties get crushed in Brooklyn with the wind off the water and overall stats, but he did a great job. I think his weighted runs created plus at Brooklyn was in the 140s. I know he was walking a ton too, but I don't know how he did in his debut. I know Brandon Sproat, Carson's guy, did a great job at Double-A this morning, I think it was, or yesterday morning, this morning. I think went 5 innings. He did well. Brooklyn, man, flowing with talent right now. A lot of talent in Brooklyn. And saying I'd rather have Alonso and Soto. I would too, brother. I would too. Why not both? Look, I want it. But, I guess it comes down to this is the thing. Ready? And this could really put a bow on it. I love Juan Soto. I do. And if that becomes a reality or an opportunity in the offseason, we'll see. Still think the Yanks would be stupid to let him leave the building. But if for some reason, we're in fantasy land right now, if for some reason there was a possibility, do you think that Juan Soto alone makes this team that much better? Is Juan Soto the magical elixir that makes this team better? That's essentially the question. Other things have to be done. Yeah. You're paying him $600 million probably. But that's really what it comes down to. Everyone's complaining about the core right now. So do you think this team is that much better if, say, you subbed out Pete and took on Soto? Or if you toss Soto on top and you become a very top-heavy team, is that enough? So these are big questions. Don't get it misconstrued, though. I love Juan Soto, man. I really do. I really do. Acuna, a.k.a. Carson's favorite noodle, second favorite noodle behind Jet Williams. Could it be possible having a lack of speed to steal bases with the Mets? Look, Mets are a slow team. They got to get more athletic. They have to get better. Have to. Acuna comes to play second. McNeil bench. Please. A bench, please. Just move Jeff to the bench. The Rhino himself, Andrew Acevedo. You know who could play all over the field? Luke effing Ritter. I found your burner, Andrew, on Twitter. I found it. No one else is sending me content on Luke Ritter besides you until someone else did. I found your Twitter, buddy. I know. Acuna hasn't been good. I don't think he's ready. I don't think he is either, Rosie. I don't think he's ready. He's been better over the last 3 weeks, and those numbers I showed you, aren't something really to write home about. Like, these aren't that great. Like, what are we doing here? But, it's better than Jeff McNeil. It's better than Jeff McNeil. Scrolling through. Sorry if I'm skipping some comments. I'm seeing some stats being put in. It looks like Vientos had an RBI. Good stuff. I'll get out of here, guys. Oh, never mind. Armand just said that they tied the game with a Harper solo over. Look, I'm going to get out of here so I can watch this game. Probably get frustrated watching it along with each and every one of you. I'll be talking with some of you on Twitter as well. All the love to each and every one of you that have been rocking with me for an hour and 20 minutes so far. 171 of you are with me right now. Love every one of you. This was a great session to just get some things off my chest because it needed to be said. I'll be here next week. And as always, this team is forever building character on us. I didn't get a chance to sip much more of this entire episode, so I'm going to take a quick sip right now. Must read all my chats. I'm trying, man. I'm trying, but I just feel at this point it's just gonna be a lot of me with dead air, like I'm Francesa over here. I don't want to do that. But look, there is plenty to talk about, and we will continue to talk about it throughout the coming weeks. But so many things, and I think I need a little bit more time just to articulate some more. But I do think changes are coming. I think changes have to happen. And I don't think David Stearns is married to the idea of anything right now. And I think he wants to really put his hands deep into this muck and figure it out, because we do have the right guy for the job. 170 over here. Before you leave, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video, spread the word of Till Much Do Us Part. Follow me right there at @poison_Ibby on Twitter. Follow my partner John Saponaro on Twitter at John Saponaro. Follow the show handle at tilmetsdouspart. Also, don't forget independentsafes.com. $99, free shipping. Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Promo code TMDUP at checkout. Get you 20% off and free shipping. Shout out to Andrew in the comments who used our code. If you need some manscaping, some grooming that needs to get done, they got it all for you. Again, right here. Make sure you got the lawnmower, you got the weed whacker, you got the crop preserver. They got it all. TMDUP at checkout, 20% off and free shipping. Matt Ibanez, aka Ibby. Till Mets Do Us Part. Until next time, my friends. LGM. God bless us, man. Because we're going to need it. I'll see you.